Hi everyone. So I did my presentation on response to intervention. So response to intervention is a proactive approach to measuring student skills and progress in order to determine if the student needs special education services. So this got started with the No Child Left Behind and the Child Find progressive movements in 2001 and in 2004. Where it protects the rights of all students, especially students with disabilities. So No Child Left Behind aims to ensure the academic growth and achievement for all students regardless of their race, ethnicity, fluency in English, disability, or socioeconomic status. And Child Find is enforced to look out for children who may need services or may have disabilities in the classroom. So all these progressive movements went towards the implementation of RTI, which kind of broadens the horizons for all students. It gives them the equal opportunity to learn. So, beginning with the RTI process, it's a 3-tier system which starts at the general education classroom, the whole class intervention. So, at this tier, universal screening happens where assessments are given to all students to see where they stand on a grade level basis. So it's comprised of core general curriculum and instruction, attention for quality, school climate, and comprehensive system of social, emotional learning, and behavioral supports for all students. So with these assessments, you can figure out where these children stand on a grade level basis and differentiate and do small group instruction according to each individual student needs. And the use of curriculum-based measures is implemented in order to track student progress. The second tier in the RTI process is small group intervention, where this is a lot smaller than the whole class intervention, and it's comprised of students who have not made sufficient progress in the general education classroom with the tier 1 interventions. So primarily these are done in small groups, and instruction is highly specific according to each individual student's needs. And within this tier, it's not like they move from tier 1 and then go to tier 2 and they forget about tier 1. It's more of tier 1 and tier 2 both together in order to meet these students' needs. And increased monitoring, progress monitoring, and data collection is needed in order to maintain records of the student making any sort of progress. And tier 3 in the response to intervention process is one-on-one intervention, which is a lot more intensive and individualized for each specific student's needs. So it's usually short-term, 8 to 20 weeks, and they remain a part of the general education system to the core instruction, receiving tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 instruction. So if the student doesn't make adequate progress in tier 3, normally this process turns into an initial evaluation for students to determine whether or not they're eligible for special education services. So there are some misconceptions about RTI, and a lot of them have to do with whether or not RTI limits the time necessary to get these students to special education. However, school and parents have a right to submit an initial evaluation request at any point. Data from RTI programs, some misconceptions that it's a mandatory part of an evaluation, although it is in most states. Federal regulations do not make it mandatory that these students receive RTI before receiving special education services or an evaluation. And they say RTI delays special education referrals, which in that case is not true. Interventions are designed and implemented over a period of time to make sure that they have enough data to go to the table and determine whether or not the student needs special education services. So with RTI, they try to determine whether or not it reduces disproportionality in special education, and in this case it does. A lot of considerations for evidence-based interventions is about the quality of it, not necessarily the general conception of the interventions. It's how an individual responds to these services, not necessarily what they're receiving. So with high quality instruction that is culturally and linguistically responsive, educators can be responsive to these students' needs and give them what they need, especially different subgroups of students. And so because of a lot of professional development opportunities in different areas, not many teachers are provided with the opportunities to get cultural and linguistic responsive best practices. So teachers lack the knowledge and resources that they need in order to meet these specific students' needs. However, if we ensure that teachers are provided with opportunities, professional developments, and resources that they need, all students will receive an appropriate education in the least restrictive environment through this RTI process. Thank you.